Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 367. I was black here. My opponent played e4, and I went with the classical defense, e5, just stopping his pawn in its tracks. Knight f3 attacking, my pawn on e5, knight c6 defending. Now lots of different choices for white at this point. White chose bishop c4, the Italian game, which I play myself. Very interesting and often tactical way to play, and I go bishop c5, which is the most popular move. There's also knight f6 going into the two knights defense, which is also quite entertaining and a decent way to play for black as well. You can see actually knight f6 is a preferred move by the chess engine. But anyway, bishop here, and the second most popular move in this position, I normally play with c3 and d4, going for the Mueller attack. But you can also play the Evans Gambit with b4. Bishop takes, and c3. You almost always follow up that pawn sacrifice with the move c3, gaining a tempo, and with the idea of supporting the pawn push to d4, building a strong center. So that's your compensation. Bishop a5 is kind of the way they used to play it in the old days. More modern, more recently, the move bishop to e7 has been recommended, and also even bishop to d6 is a funny recommendation of the chess engine, coming back to this square on d6, defending the center pawn, I guess, and just seems strange because it's blocking the d pawn, but I guess this bishop can develop along some other diagonal. Anyway, I play the old-fashioned way, bishop a5. And white castles here. It's the second choice, so it's not a bad move necessarily. It's just not the most aggressive continuation, and really the most in the spirit of the gambit is just to play on with d4 and even offering a second pawn at that point. But anyway, white castles, and this is a way to play too. And I played knight f6. Knight f6 is a bit of a risky move. Probably d6 would be a more reliable way to play, but the engine likes knight f6. I mean, the thing is, you're immediately counterattacking in the center, and unless white can find some tactical way to destroy you, you're going to come out of this pretty good. So d4 here is probably mandatory to try and keep any kind of compensation. After my opponent's move bishop a3, it looks good. Okay, I take it back. It also keeps some compensation. That's about the same. That was about the same evaluation that the chess engine was giving d4. So bishop a3, an interesting way to play. And not what I was expecting, so it certainly takes me out of my opening book here. Not that I was pretty much improvising from knight f6 on, but anyway, the most sensible move here is probably d6. Oh, I played that. Yeah, you want to blunt this bishop a bit and keep open the opportunity of castling, but you always have to be aware there's going to be a pin on this pawn after you castle, and that this e-pawn might become weak as a result. So there's lots of tactics, particularly involving these d-pawn pushes and the queen coming over here. But this follow-up knight g5 is not correct. Once again, d4 is the way to continue. So maybe this is the last chance to keep that compensation. After knight g5, suddenly things are looking pretty good for black. He's just got an extra pawn, and the attack is not going anywhere because I can just castle to meet this two-piece attack. Now, I was a little bit worried about queen b3 here because now this two-piece attack has become three pieces, but I have a way to defend this pawn using my queen. I can go either to d7 or e7. The chess engine likes queen d7, but I didn't. I mean, there's disadvantages to both moves. On e7, I'm putting my queen in this pin, and on d7, I'm blocking in the bishop, so I have to choose between two evils. So it looks like they're about pretty much comparable in evaluation. So anyway, I went here with the queen, and he played the very logical d4, so getting this in. But now I could have just taken that pawn. Could have just taken it. I've been thinking about this for a while. I mean, I don't really like the bishop on a5. It really needs to reroute to b6. First of all, so it's not loose. Sometimes this knight gets chased away, for example, with the pawn push, and then this bishop becomes loose. So that's a danger. So you really want to reorganize these pieces, bishop to b6 and knight to a5. And the knight on a5 is going to, or you always have the threat of knight to a5 forking those two pieces, and that's something you want to get into the position with bishop b6. But And, well, you can see it's the second choice of the engine, so it's not a horrible move. But in this particular case, it would have been a little more accurate just to grab that pawn. Okay, bishop b6. He takes. And now I could take back immediately with the knight, which I did, although the engine points out knight g5 is probably a good move here. Knight g4, rather. Knight g4, so you can take back with that knight. It's a little bit scary to play this, because after knight g4, you have to worry about pawn takes e6. And so actually I'm curious. Let's see what would happen. Knight g4. And he plays pawn takes. Then queen takes g5. Oh, of course. He's got this knight hanging. So it doesn't matter that I give up a few pawns over here. Okay. Yeah, I missed that idea. So after pawn takes, yeah, knight g4 is a great way to round up this pawn. It comes with an attack on the knight, so it gains a tempo. But just a simple knight takes e5 is also sufficient. And it hits the bishop and defends this pawn incidentally, although it's going to get chased away with the move f4, so it's a bit of a target there as well. Got to watch out for it. So the bishop drops back to e2. White doesn't want to trade off his bishop. And now I played bishop to c5, which is a mistake, actually. I've got quite a good position here. I should just continue to play h6 and not worry so much about this pin. There's no immediate way for him to exploit it. If he plays, after I play h6, he's going to drop his knight back, and then I could just trade it off. And he can't immediately push the e-pawn because the queen can take it. So there's no big pressure on this pawn, even though it's pinned at the moment. So this move bishop c5 was really not needed, and in fact it creates a weakness of mine and gives some hope to white. Otherwise I was just winning. So, but white immediately gives the advantage back to me with this move c4. So definitely a bad move, blocking this diagonal of his queen. I think maybe white was thinking of creating a square for his knight to develop to, but you can see the knight should just come out via d2. Knight to d2 to f6 is possible, or d2 to c4. Anyway, this is a good square for white's pieces. It's an open diagonal for his queen, and when he puts the pawn there, he just takes away all those possibilities, and so that helps me out quite a bit. Now I safely cancel that. I safely kick the knight. Knight drops back. And I play b6 to shore up these pawns over here. I could have, once again, grabbed this pawn, and probably should have. It's a free pawn, and I can play b6 a move later. So I missed that. Okay, so b6, and it gives him time to develop his knight and defend the pawn. Although, through some strange quirk here, he played his knight on d2 instead of c3 after moving the pawn up to c4. He's got this c3 square for the knight, which you can see is just a better location for it. Anyway, knight to d2. Well, it defends two pawns, but it's very passive there. Bishop to b7. I'm just going to pile up on his e-pawn and try to win it. Missed my chance once, but it's an opportunity to create threats and get my pieces out. So bishop to d3, defending, and rook f to e8. Whenever you spy, cancel that. Rook f to e8 I played. Whenever you spy your opponent's... What did I play here? Rook f e8. Oh, I went here first. Yeah, I could have put a rook on the d file right away, I think. And rook a d8, rook f d8. They are moves here. Okay. So now I played rook f to e8, defending. But I was going to say, whenever you see your opponent's pieces lined up on an open file, this move rook to d8 should come as almost an automatic reflex. You know, there's going to be some interesting tactics happening along this file. So rook to e8. I know what I was thinking. I was still thinking about different ways to win this pawn. And there's ways to win the pawn involving taking this knight. And I wanted to make sure there was no pin here that was going to win a piece back. So that's why I played this rook to e8. Okay, he goes rook f to e1, and now I put my rook on the d file, creating these tactics along the d file I was speaking about. And he drops his bishop back to c2, and right here he makes his critical mistake. So I grab the knight. I'm going to be able to win a pawn if he takes back with the knight, but still that's what he has to do, because the knight is hanging and he's in check. So the only way to solve both of those problems is to take. His one and only move. And then after that, yeah, it's safe to take. It's safe to take here, because after some exchanges, you know, my piece is pinned, But the only way you can add more pressure to it is by bringing the queen over, and I can just can I do that? Actually, it's a little bit tricky. I guess I just move the queen out of the way here. Queen to f6. That's the way to do it. He can't take without, he would be trading his queen for a rook and a knight. So so the knight's not really pinned there. Well, it is kind of pinned, but it can come back to this square and defend the knight. So that would be the way to unravel and grab the pawn. So that's how the game should have progressed. I mean, it's still winning for black, but what he played, queen takes f3, just leaves the knight hanging. So just moved a little too quickly there, didn't account for all the stuff that was going on in the position. But he continued playing here, rook a to c1, queen d7, and queen to g3. Cancel that. Queen to g3. I'm not sure what that was. Yeah, he doesn't have a dark squared bishop to take advantage of this pin. He's hitting the pawn over here. And he's getting his e-pawn away from that pin. He's getting his queen away from the pin on the e-pawn. Okay, so I went queen d4. Just putting more pressure on this pawn. Might as well pick up a pawn too. He goes rook c to d1, and now I can trade off rooks. Although rook takes e4 is interesting here. Yeah, this is a typical kind of tactic. I should have thought of this one. Rook takes e4. You're setting up dual threats on the back rank, and it's difficult for him to meet all of them. And there's a mate there, so king f1. He's got to defend against the mate threat. So, for example, if he just did a nothing move, moved a pawn, then rook takes d1. And if he takes back, the queen comes in with mate. Something like that. So you're setting up these mating threats. So the way to defend it is to play king to f1. And then rook takes e1 check. Rook takes or king takes. It's about the same. Let's say rook takes. And then rook takes c2. Yeah, grab the bishop over here. So anyway, clearly winning. I played rook takes d1. Yeah, I could have just grabbed the bishop too. Played rook takes d1, just getting rid of the extra material here. No, that's right. There was a pin. That's why I couldn't take the bishop right away. I have to deal with have to worry about the pin on my rook. Okay, so rook takes d1. Another way to play. So I mean, it certainly keeps the advantage. Rook takes d1, and I drop my queen back to e5. Could have snagged another pawn there. So now f4 was played, chasing my queen, and I go to b2, hitting his bishop. Plays queen to d3, but now this pawn, the e-pawn, which has been under fire the whole time, is now taken, and with great effect, because not only am I taking the pawn, but I'm skewering the queen and winning the bishop behind it. So after queen b3, I play queen takes c2, and now there's a mate threat here on g2. And the only way to stop the mate is to trade queens. You can see all of these involve a mate and some number of moves, except for queen takes c2. But of course, trading queens is pretty hopeless, because there'll be two pieces up, and white doesn't have any passed pawns or anything as compensation. So my opponent, well, I think he let his clock run down at this point, but in any case, he gave up, and I won the game at this point. So that's how it ended. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.